Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let's create an August mood board, shall we? I'm using my Paper Republic Grand Voyageur in the A4 size. I really wanted to try their Dusty Rose and they kindly offered to gift me this one, so I thought it would be the perfect time to create a dreamer setup is what I like to call it. It's basically the journal where I do all the things that I've dreamed of, like learn to sketch, collage, different vision boards or mood boards. I do plan to show you in the future some of the other collages that I have, but lately, in the past few months, I started doing a monthly mood board. This is my August mood board. I ended up cutting out the pictures yesterday and getting it all ready so that I can collage today. And I sourced these images largely from Pinterest. I love using Pinterest. You can pretty much type anything you want and the word aesthetic next to it, and you'll find the most beautiful pictures to add to your collage. So you can also do it though with magazines, or if you have any old books lying around, you can pretty much use whatever you'd like. Some people use sticker printers and print their own stickers. I just use my color printer, my scissors, my glue tape roller, and I source images that I think fit really well with my vision for August or for the month. And I cut them and I paste them. So here I'm just placing the images randomly just to see what it would look like, to see if I can create a template for how I want it to look. Sometimes I end up changing that, but it helps me to start by just placing the images arbitrarily so that I can get a vision for what it could look like. A lot of the images that I got was inspired by creating a monthly tens list. I like to think about things that I really want to accomplish for the month. I like to add a TBR menu. I like to call it a TBR menu because I feel less pressure when it's called a menu, because then I don't have to think of it as something that has to get done, but rather something I can select from. And a lot of times I might think of books that I want to read, but then I don't quite feel like reading them, or an opportunity to read with a friend comes up and I much rather prioritize reading with groups or with people. But my TBR menu this month, I hope that I can read them all because I actually really want to read every single one this month. Typically, I'll just pick a lot of books to choose from, but this time I ended up including books that I really hope to read. Now, it's helpful, though, not to think of it as a 1 month thing, so I'll start reading them in August, but I won't necessarily finish reading them in August, especially a book like Oblomov, which is classic Russian literature. I believe it's more than 500 pages. I don't want to rush through books like that because they're filled with such rich ideas, but some of the books that I have on my list I like to use one of my notebooks actually to write down where I got the recommendation, because sometimes I'll remember about the books, but I don't know why I was excited to read them. But many of them are going to be buddy reads. Some of them are books I really wanted to read before the summer's over, like Dandelion Wine, which I've started reading that book and it is beautiful. I really love it. I'll make sure to include my TBR menu books in the description for the video so that you all can see in case it's not as visible here. But some of the most anticipated ones for me are Oblomov and Fruit Fly. That one sounded very unhinged, but in a really good way. So I tried to create a mixture of books that are slow, that you chew on, that you savor, and books that are a bit more compulsive. And then I have a romance that I heard was a good one for eldest daughters that I'm going to read with my friend Miriam. She lives in Germany, so it's really sweet when I get to connect with her in any way, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to discuss a book with her. It's one of my favorite things to do with friends. The rest of the things on my collage are things that I want to do in August. I did find out that the Perseids meteor shower was going to be visible this month. So I thought it would be a really good thing to do with my family. We have a really great location where people go when they want to see any kind of space event. So I hope to go there with them and check it out. And I hope that it's nice and visible. Some of the things I want to do this month also are play with gouache paint. I have gouache paint. I've had it for months, but I've been intimidated to start using it. But I have YouTube and I've got a creative mind, so I think I can figure it out. Most of what keeps me from doing it is the barrier to entry in my own mind where I just overthink it. So I figured if I put it on my August list, then it'll give me an excuse to play around with it, and I set an intention that'll help me actually pick it up. I have a picture of matcha there because at my local coffee shop, I tried this magical combination of guava, strawberry, iced matcha, and I didn't know that a drink could taste so good. I didn't know that a combination of flavors could do so well together. So it's a seasonal thing. They are not serving it anymore, and I can make my own. So I'm going to try to figure out how I can make my own and how I can make it taste like that one did, because it was magical. And then some of the other things I have on there are things like take a sunset walk. I have an image of just friends sharing dinner together because I do want to make more time going out with friends and catching up with them. I really want to try to create rubber eraser stamps. I found books that show me how to cut stamps of my own, and I'd love to use these for my journal, so I put an image there to represent that. And then I also like to add a few quotes. So there's some quotes there about writing, because I do really enjoy writing on Substack, and I sometimes need to remind myself to just write and to not think so heavily on how I'm going to be perceived or whether I'm good at what I'm doing, and just write and create for the sake of doing it. And then I have another one that reminds me to consume less than I create, because it can be really tempting to think of consumption and scrolling as a way that you get inspiration, but a lot of the inspiration that I get comes from being still, comes from noticing, comes from paying attention and reading. That kind of consumption is where I really get my creative juices flowing. And at the end of the day, really doom scrolling just gives you ideas of what other people are doing, and I don't want to somehow subconsciously be inspired to create an exact copy of what someone else is doing. I've been reading the book The Creative Act lately, and it's really taught me a lot about the creative life. So doing something like this and collaging just reminds me what my intentions are, what I want to set for the month ahead. And I like to peek at it throughout the month just to remember what's important to me. So a lot of what's on here is things that I just hope to do throughout the month, things that I hope to focus on. It's reminding me of the values that I have. And usually I look back at the end of the month and assess what I was able to do. Sometimes I don't get to the things that I put on my mood board, but it's really helpful just to have a vision and to think ahead and set the intention. Otherwise, you just move with the conveyor belt of the month and you end up doing none of the things that you wished you would do. So I also love that collaging is a creative practice and it's a ritual. I like to put on calming music and just let myself create for about an hour. So it's usually how long it takes. And by the end, I'm really happy with what I've created, and I've got that itch to create scratched. Now, a lot of times I do like to add some stickers just to add beauty to it. You can do a lot of things. You can use washi tape to stick your photos down, or just to make it more beautiful, stick some in the corners. Today I'm just using my glue tape roller and adding a few stickers, but I love to make a whole ritual of it, and by the end I'm always really happy with how my collages turned out. What I'm doing right now is trying to find art that I think just goes well with the things that I want to study this month, because I love self-education so much, and I love that this book has a few prints by Hilma af Klint. She has the most beautiful artwork, and I never thought that I could be into abstract art. Actually, I always thought it was just, I don't know, I was never drawn to it, but in my own study of art lately, I've come to really enjoy her visuals, and I actually am even more in love with her art lately because of opening up my commonplace circle on Substack. We voted on commonplacing on the theme of joy, and one of the things I found to be inherently joyful is something coined as sacred geometry, which is just the natural patterns that you see in nature, and Hilma af Klint really captivates that well in her art, and she does that purposefully. And so I love that I can look at her art and just see it in many forms. We can see it in nature, we can see it in fractals. There's just so many beautiful places to observe sacred geometry, and it feels inherently joyful to me because it's like beauty just naturally multiplying. So I added a piece of her art here on my collage just to remind me that I'll be studying joy and artful joy. I really want to set aside time for that. There's an image there, if you can see, it's about blue, white, and black, and it's folk art. Folk art is another medium that I feel is inherently joyful. It brings me a lot of joy because of the subjects usually depicted and the colors. It's always bright and beautiful. I have fallen in love with a lot of folk art prints lately, so of course I had to add it to my August mood board. A couple other things I added were reminders to do things with my family, like play cards with them. I have an image there showing a messy homeschool table because I homeschool, and I am going to get back into the routine in August, which I'm really looking forward to. But one of the things I love most about homeschooling is just the messy aesthetic of the table. Whenever we're actually learning and doing things together, there's usually papers and books everywhere and paint, and that's to me the measuring stick of a good homeschool day, because we've explored a feast of knowledge, we've had fun, we weren't worried about keeping things organized, and then we can focus on cleaning everything up by the end of the lessons. But I'm really looking forward to the routine that'll come this month through that, and I want to focus on what's important to me, which is delighting in learning for its own sake and delighting in beautiful ideas for their own sake. So I had to put an image there to remind me that that's the intention and what I want to focus most on this month. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I wanted to add a few stickers to some of the blank spaces. I've got some pretty good stickers that I like to use for when this happens. Sometimes I'll use paper to put in the background and not leave any white space at all. In fact, that's how I usually see most people collage, but I don't do that very typically. I kind of like the white space in between the photos. Sometimes I'll overlap them like I did here, but I like to have little white space to write. I hope you feel inspired to create your own intentions and vision for the month ahead, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments of what is on your August mood board.